and Rhoda. Our regional coverage of the Northern Marianas, reporting what you need to know, asking the hard questions, and sharing your voice, your view on the issues that matter in good times and in
We will be here at your service this afternoon on this Sunday morning at 11 o'clock in the morning on the 17th day of March 2024. And KKNP is wide open for our community, for those that are running for public office to come in and make their announcements, share their views, and inform the community about why they should be the one to represent our community. So we're very honored to kick off this program this morning with John Gonzales, who will be announcing his candidacy for the Washington seat. Bert?
Well, aquí mamãe regular mulher bukan sebuah stasiun yang dalam program kali individual kamu fatal. Ai sugi life asalkan msyani wal KKNP ngerau fatal autonom bosu hal kecil baru masuk paling mas repia ini yokumur fatal emetana rasul fatal and for us nya Eval importante ba ay so metakumang to wala social media in your hara simusha musubu direct subu tongor mo tolong musubu aslinya mamano mille ro saguro sa so metakal hizi ni hagulumi la bilba paliula metai sa mushal sa repair individual kan agasal kita mushagina station azimala lagu ali ilos guma pada lokasi Washington pada azip falwa organisasi election in kombibilan zokil bin fanal ini yang station mesmo data fan história mas lokal como compreendi az house and often a son malo ira son lokal sa política escola faz lokal inotali ali social media zagalizi agalumia tampi todo alfa para te comprender pues ita lo que garita comprender what's going on is razón man mago fana para tababas e station tapago za gubibira on todos azishan malologos ata comprender lo que za taketusia lo que za is a basgas zo basta nazar istishari ni para tafan taman fuam karogan sigaw Dengan sipo basta nós asti tafaligini tafanafamuli tafanacomprendi ezgina são aqui na trabalho asti na sarta gini ila mas miso yung station miso za ta kubibigan za halu loki za tolo ki e community hard ma comprendi abo mas na ko za tababa za pilfa Latins and English za ta mixer of ginalo ni KKNP za tafanacomprendi
all the way
pues mas za tutun paulo za Latin good morning good afternoon and week za binoy lo ki tempo niya zo introduce with pues o fatto lo que pode terreno lo que se promove mas tá sendo nessa lo que era really para postcard lo que lá pues how are you my sister
good
all right introduce yourself so everybody can
Nanga Gloria Rasem ibu titela pa hila mani buya mataroy sana Oliver de los Reyes Gonzales. First ni para tiro Remy Aramasala Marianas lesor mama ini si wala lesor siya. We ihila ni ihingol memesay boy ahulenge lihami tapal mualia ehala buari metafal tipio apilugulu miangan cho Aramasiel nge sabo siya akuleye lehitihite me she bui mwel bue I sheshel wewel mile ibuira eyor repial me wangil bue botepengi me luheihish aramasal fali mwali buish John Oliver de los Reyes Gonzales ni ay tomokote fengel mer elal haloa ay kakko fengel le bolete al Head Start la fashala say mero sesser menali man rehafishi Marianas High School mwaliel ni ehito mohre pial lal moyanam gakko ni fasilhi ang hatch melalian melete torito mo hila ni seke much mamail ferial malien lal tapalweras ka si fasil me wal ke moteti wal fale ni John Oliver fasil kello wale arush Lalalang alyal mo kutukut Nga sabal ke ale mayala Nga reyel remeralis Nga reyel refalawash Boy awewe lashach Yal alilis Faye Mekafish Nga lirtola Boy ha Yel yal fil Merelilal mesamal Mehawal I aramasal fale atelihe bush I atel Marianas Iemo hija inamo hija usulula yange elo alien Boy siso yala lilis ngeli ramas Inamo haye wale hus metomo Nge elo leir armas Ehitomoch ye apiluluch rel mualia bush John Oliver Boy fasil I fasil uri me hule mahutuhutul I hule tol lapal metaka wangeli Boy buhi amamawa me amamayu khachush aramasal fali yeli mwalie fatawal fatawal CNMI Delegate near the US Congress mwalie John Oliver de los Reyes Gonzales. I love you, boy.
Thank you. Mr. Win.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Liam Hall introduce ni Walia Bufala Fatab. Hilang ipalsuri hila microphone ni bal Walia bal primoy bal lo. Siswasi ni podulok ni presenta paguna sige tinugay. Amin taluani. Sure gana mo. Pues pero ira pa yung microphone kati sa promoter za introduce ko.
Mananahu Zamanelu, Sunelu Midizu, Kumantu Sianzu, Kusitato was John Oliver, de los Reyes Gonzales. Most matungonya as one boys. Gogu, si Kyo Cosmo, Suzuki Gonzales. Imo spot gun na line one boys. The Pogo na dia, Kimoto 17, Gaununsha the official running statement para Vita. Ang imang-fais into Ozzy Dokuro model, Toritempo, Ileriku, Sitataw. I have never met another person who so strongly and passionately embodies his roots, his culture, his family, his faith, and his healthy lifestyle with the discipline and enthusiasm that he possesses. That is always present, always positive, and only wants the best for my siblings and I. Respect, integrity, compassion, perseverance, humility. These are only a few of the virtues that Dad practices each and every day with our family, with friends, and with the community. He always rises up to the challenge, no matter what. As you all know, back in 2015, we lost our loving mother, and Dad lost his younger brother. What do you do as a father of three young children who lost so much in so little time? I know what Dad did. Despite all this hardship, he rose out of the tragedy stronger. He rose to the challenge and never gave up. My siblings and I are a product of Mom Shar and Dad's perseverance. As a single father, he raised my siblings and I for nearly a decade. He made sure we followed our dreams, practiced respect every day, and excelled in education. Imagine what this man can do for the Northern Mariana Islands. Bago na diha tayo naklaro hodzi si John Boris Gonzales. Sumen humidito na si Tato sa si John Gonzales. Lo inibin na mo tu'y question. Sa hofa na sa humidito para ba usong este. Ang gimawagan pa rin nuevo na linalon ng sinanaw ki 2015, toda ya sa gwanes ta si Tato. Sa guiza para upok sa ibohu, tanilos ongkun ng seluhu siya. Guiza para wazura si Tato bihu. Guiza za toza ochu para mazuda familionya. Zangizinya tata ufanui gunaiza tegweno para familionya. Kwatiba para kita tori. Gininilainya siya. Sinya insongan nahami inili offer na crossing toto si John Boris Gonzales. Zanangin bayan songan hozi malagota para magas binigisaipan. Siyempre mago pang zanginin himuk na nuevo na US Congress sa si Juan Boris. Toda ocho visa y candidato siya most qualified kini si Tato sa servidores na administrasyon di position Chief of Staff mo eskwela koleho sa matoto di executive and legislative na bonda y gobernamento Marianas.
Thank you, Primo. Sword?
Yeah.
Well, ngarale ki suhilo stasyon yani sa ngarale prolo ki lodila by ki mot la yani stasyon by ki introduce home web tolong lo la stasyon ay fafai ay hala ay siso pas do yo ki mushelo tolmo al lehmi yani wal tempol pa tetela Zangin ba stasyon stingin naman gayang power is stasyon na introduce friend na zangin visa loki po falogi papa I bandera ni Washington work no na oficina aga sa kumibira siya loki azi siya malago loki po famalogo zo fanalun zo fatto se fatto matatsu zata zangin friend na chumalo I first na invitation na nago famloki na pin introduce si future rep ni Pufalago Loki Galvanistin Bandera. It gives us a great pleasure because we've been announcing this and introducing and announcing that if you're running, please come and join us on KKMP so that our people can also understand who's running and why are you running. But con respeto, it's just for respect because there's so many times that we're looking at medias and it's just so overwhelming, and that's why we wanted to do this to introduce and bring them here directly, so that way you can meet them on our media, Facebook, or listen to them on the air as they're talking. So if you're out there on a Sunday, happy Sunday. The very first one that took the invitation gives us the honor, folks, to introduce you to Mr. John Oliver Gonzales Sibolis. Is in the house.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We go disihue gakko Sarangka. We tal gakko yash gakko ngi Sarangka Elementary. Después na Tulekadi tal yash gakko William S. Regis, no? On our way to Hopwood. Yuli so then. No, ang isiluman hula nenemi Mrs. Russian we Miss Trenen, Miss Tried, Miss Rush. No, plus this elementary this hue. Tumaga la respeto rela alengir mestros bue respeto debe sibo no ngaleir aramasas inamo iyo inamo ileta inamo iya. Thank you Remy Tumah. La Jesus Masi, I'm really touched. And Genzon Seiji, I know you're leaving Washington DC. Spring break, boys. You know, you visited Lieutenant Commander Freddie Hofschneider, and you know, to welcome you at the homes for spring break. Thank you. And I know you're on the road driving back to Connecticut to the U.S. Coast Guard Academy. Waizam Zum Hayo, everybody else. And I want to greet my dad, Fredo, and our nanay, or si Tita Ofelia, Nanay Ofelia, and of course my father-in-law, Kiyo Aki Suzuki, who since my wife passed away, have been privileged to take care of him because family and respect is everything. And where do I begin? I'll start by saying, We Yemi Sapur Hamzu, because of you. In 2008, I first ran for the U.S. Congress seat when it was opened. And I thankfully and gratefully came third out of 9 candidates. And I want to take this time to commend and give our salutation to my primo, our current U.S. delegate, Gregorio Kilili Sablan, for historically setting up and presenting us to the nation. And I pledge to continue on that relentless passion because we deserve much more as promised in our covenant that contains the pledge, the spirit of mutual respect between the United States and us, the Northern Marianas. Amagato Maluani, Hafade, Tiroreni, hello, konnichiwa. Ali, President Sarangil Whips, by the way, welcome to the Northern Marianas, and hope to see you soon, hopefully before you leave. Kamagar, Reanenim, Kasalelimain, Yahweh, Kulo, Tuwo. Please allow me to beg your indulgence for a moment as we pause in silence to remember our loved ones. And I want to remember and dedicate this to my late mother, Maria, my late wife, Charlene, my brother, late brother Alfred, Sinang Lucia, and also to salute and dedicate and pay and pray for our veterans and our soldiers in harm's way who are serving, leaving Rota Tinian sa Ipan Northern Islands to go and serve the nation in the far corners of the world. Thank you. Jesus Masi. Mangileflehu, manpirintis, manatungog, manatsay-gwas-gwas. Dyan manggafa na nohu biya Lucian Bolis, Pangilinan de los Reyes, dyan tatahu biyu Tomas Pa Palacios Sablan. Guahui lahin mizu, ibisinun mizu, itentago mizu, isubrinun mizu, iatungo mizu si John Oliver de los Reyes Gonzales Polis. Lahin ni difuntas Maria Susana, dyan Alfredo Gonzales. Sa guahui difunta Charlene Kiyomi Chin Suzuki, haga ni difunta as Angelina Fausto Abdon Chin, dyan Kiyoaki Suzuki. Mahagog to sa mga onyamzo na guahu pa gu kumoko ni dyan gumatutsungi dyan umasisistis sa roko akisan. Desde kimata sa guahu, desde 2015 sa pagu sa hafa, taad sa apasta ni Manaynata. Duty-bound, morally obliged, and eternally grateful of our indigenous ancestors, our visionary negotiators of our covenant, our indigenous and melting pot of diverse fellow residents who have made the Northern Marianas home from all walks of life. and our promise of a more prosperous and sustainable future, I am humbled and ecstatic to officially announce my candidacy as delegate to the U.S. Congress for this November 2024 midterm election. Allow me to share my humble beginnings. Dad, Alfredo, left this country of the Philippines to come along with his mga barkada, his tropa at that time, leaving their countries to come to a new frontier, islands, if you will, to rebuild our islands because Typhoon Jean decimated our islands from Guam all the way up north. And it was through their perseverance, their sweat, that they rebuilt our Northern Mariana Islands. And in what historically is the largest ever migration of foreign national laborers into our islands because we lack the labor workforce. Then, and as history and our observations and experiences have shown, we continue to lack the labor workforce. He met our mother, and we grew up in Sarangka, 7 children later, and almost 50 grandchildren, and about almost 20, approaching 20 great-grandchildren. He was my first father male figure who taught me honesty. I remember vividly when he told me that Uncle Teno was his boss at the time. He was working in construction. And every time Governor Teno and Auntie Sophie would leave, he would give the keys of the businesses to Dad to collect the collections of the businesses and deposit it into the bank. And I said, Dad, why? Why? He says, Pamagono, our sons and daughter, if there's anything I want to teach you, it's honesty, especially when no one is looking around. Dad, thank you for that and for teaching us those values. Together with Mom, grit. You taught us the values of grit, respect, assertiveness, and independence to earn a living. That if you don't have it now, suck it up and let's wait for the next payday. Let's wait for the next meal, because God is giving, God is merciful, and we entrust our lives to Him because we can do this. And my childhood was hard. I was the eldest of 7 kids. Dad was earning a measly $2 an hour for construction, all day under the sun. And thank you, Dad and Mom, for teaching us that grit, because it was from that experience that I said, I'm gonna work hard, study smart, be Speedy Gonzales. In fact, Gloria, you remember,
Yes.
some of my classmates, many would get back to me because I'm Speedy Gonzales. I write fast in spelling. I beat them in running, and I beat them in math spelling. And so every time they could try to beat me up, I go to Grandma, Nang, Lucia, next door, and I say, Nang, check panadas manuzo, and then I just get some empanadas. And I give it to those friends, those guys who wants to beat me up. And I said, it's okay, we're friends. Just we'll give you empanada. Protect me. So thank you, Nang. Thank you, Nang, for those wonderful years. And so I witnessed that remarkable grit of Mom and Dad. And I said, I'm going to study. I'm going to go to college. And thankfully became the first generation college student from our family, our clan. And I went, and I did not waste time. I got a double major in 3.5 years, political science and history. Came back because why? Mom received the letter from MPLC that I'm going to get a homestead. And you know, in our culture for the men, we have to provide the land and the house for in the future if you're going to get married, aside from the cows that you have to kill for the wedding. But I came back and I sacrificed that to go to Europe for a Fulbright or Marshall Scholarship Fulbright, because as a Truman Scholar, by the way, I was fortunate enough to receive, and I'm the first National Truman Scholar from the Northern Marianas, a quite prominent scholarship program. 2,000 applicants, and then they lowered it down to 200 semifinalists. And then I was sent to Stanford or Berkeley. It's been a minute. And guess who the chairman of the interview panel was? President Nixon's personal representative for the covenant negotiations, former Ambassador Hayden Williams. How cool is that? God is truly aligning the stars, because Ambassador Williams stopped and said, who is this kid from the Marianas that I negotiated the covenant with? And unbeknownst to us, out of the initial 1,200 applicants, down to 200 semifinalists, by the grace of God, I was one of the 82 finalist National Truman Scholars, which brought me to Washington, D.C. to intern in Congress, in the Department of Interior, Office of Environmental Affairs, under Dr. Wilson. And I had the privilege of working and meeting with Stella Guerra, a former Assistant Secretary for Office of International and Territorial Affairs at the time, OTIA. And I miss those days, Miss Stella, riding in your Jaguar, because you're going to pick us up to go to Mass on Sundays at the National Basilica. I pray that you're doing well, and thank you for those awesome lessons and mentorship and memories. And speaking of which, I also got back to DC as a junior in high school at MHS of Close Up Foundation, and then Mike Evangelista and I were the last cohorts for the Presidential Scholars for National High School students. And so 2 months later, from April 88, we went back in June 88. And everything is history. And thank you for those experiences. I later obtained my master's in business in international management from graduate school. And I sacrificed everything because I needed to build the house. I came back and I have a concrete house and stuff. Let me now share with you a few of my work performance records. And these are my track record, proven leadership in the almost 30 years of working for the government. Initially as a staffer to the Senate President in '93 when I got back from college, and then I segued to the executive branch. It was the summer of '93 when I came back, and then I moved from the Senate as a legislative assistant to CUC as the policy and legal assistant to the executive director. I became chief of staff and policy staffer to former Governor Teno and Jesus Pepero Sablan administration, and later under Enos Torres and then Hokuk when Uncle Eloy Enos passed away, where I worked intimately on NMI federal relations issues related to our covenant, and in fact was a staffer of the last ever Covenant Section 902 consultations in 2000 with Ed Cohen, who represented President Clinton at the time, and Lieutenant Governor Jesus Sablan Pepero, representing Governor Teno. I also intimately worked for the first ever Pacific Region's integrated Saipan solid waste management system, which is now the Lower Base Transfer Station and the landfill up in Marpi. Sadly, due to circumstances, the pickup stations in the south, in Cobbler and in Cagman, have yet to be implemented. I was intimately working with the Attorney General on procurement, government contracting issues. So I'm quite familiar, and thank you for those experiences. Just last week, as president of CNMI FESPAC nonprofit organization since 2015, our Vice President Gordon Marciano, co-treasurers Abi Munya and Martin Duenas, and Director Francis Sablan, all cultural icons. We presented $25,000 to the 13th CNMI FESPAC chairwoman, our sister Maggie Sablan, to deposit to United Airlines to secure the charter flight, as price would increase while the government finds the money. We needed to meet that deadline. My work as chairman of 7 out of 8 years for the former non-government Northern Mariana Straits Institute resulted in our board of directors securing about $12 million from US EDA under our CEO, Auntie Agnes McPheeters, Difunto Ross Manglona, of course, our DCCA secretary now, and former staff at NM Trades Institute, Frank Rebauliman, and the team. and about $7 million from NMHC CDBG Disaster Recovery Infrastructure Grants, led by the Deputy Corporate Director, Zini Mafnes, which we proudly handed over to the new government NMI Technical Institute. As president of CHC Volunteers Association, our board of directors presented $150,000 from the nonprofit to CHC CEO Esther Muña to pay for the cost of replacing the dilapidated oxygen machines in the hospital rooms. Moreover, more recently, I am pleased to inform you that I was hired in 2019 by NMHC Housing Corporation, primarily to research and write from scratch and lead the NMI's first ever CDBG Disaster Recovery Federal Grant after we qualified from back-to-back super typhoons. Together with Corporate Director, my boss, Jesse Palacios, my other boss, Deputy Corporate Director, Jeannie Mafnes, and my ride-or-die partner who we started CDBGDR for Finance Manager, Jeffrey Kirigua de Leon Guerrero. We secured the largest ever one-time U.S. federal grant in the CNMI history, worth $245 million, plus more under ARPA and CARES during the pandemic. Incidentally, this is the first ever for the entire Pacific region, including Hawaii and Guam. As a result, I am eternally grateful that our people are directly benefiting for the long term with permanent, safe, and typhoon-resilient homes, especially for first-time homeowners for generations to come. I think it is remarkable that our people, their quality of lives are being upgraded because of the work that we all do. And I ask you to review our records, our proven leadership records. And in the span of 6 months, I was able to help secure $245 million, 6 months only. Sadly, my excitement to manage and implement that new program was short-lived after I was abruptly let go during the COVID-19 pandemic. And more than 2 decades, it's been my wife's and my privilege to help many of our people, non-locals and indigenous Chamorro, locals, and Carolinians alike, in the many legal documents that they've needed for affidavits, power of attorneys, land documents, land compensation. I've helped, and it was a privilege, mind you, from the goodness of our hearts. All we ask is the prayers, and thankfully our sons are doing well in their education. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, people, for those opportunities. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll close by saying this. I was also president of the Northern Marianas Descent Corporation for a few years when we sued the federal government for the Ninth Circuit and the U.S. Supreme Court on NMD voting rights for NMD lands per Covenant Section 805 and NMI Constitution Article 12. I ended up being a delegate to the 3rd NMI Constitutional Convention right after college. Me together with my kumpayri, former Mayor J.P. San Nicolas attorney, were the youngest delegates. And in fact, we were chastised, malalatyami, when we said we want to reduce the age of governor to 21 years. And they said, disatento. And we said, okay. So we left it at the age of 25, and the rest is history. So thank you for that opportunity as well. And I have been presidents of many nonprofit organizations. I've helped with the church, CCD instructor. I have many kids under First Holy Communion and Confirmation today. And it's been a few years. Mr. G, remember the class you almost didn't pass us? Tough love. And also I became president, and I also read at the church, by the way, for many of you who are not aware. I became president of Cadman School's PTSA, the only 2-time president for the PAC, PSS, Parent Advisory Council, CHC Volunteers Association, Saipan Natibu Lions Club, one of 12 clubs in the Marianas, CNMI FESPAC nonprofit organization since 2016, NMDC, and treasurer for CCBI. Ladies and gentlemen, I can go on and on and on. But let me close, please, by sharing with you my plans as your delegate for U.S. Congress. I want to build, again, upon the successes and strategic network of current Congressman Gregorio Khalili Sablan. And I want to work to lobby, and I will knock at every door. And by the ways, watch me, and I want to, hopefully, you join me. I want to wear, if and when we're successful and we get the seat, I will wear my sari. I will yayali legatutur, usos, and in my coconut oil and my turmeric, and I will stand in U.S. Congress, and that's the best marketing and the best strategic promotion of who we are as a people, as part of the United States political family. And watch us get all the attention that we need, because why? We must be level up. We must be equalized as U.S. citizens, just as U.S. citizens in the United States mainland. And that's my first and foremost, is to tweak federal policies and to work with the federal departments and the White House, interagency for governmental affairs, who they work with the governors, so we can tweak those federal policies and equalize the benefits and programs received by U.S. citizens in the United States mainland, so that they can extend it here, especially because the cost of living and the geopolitical circumstances and our military strategic defense, so we can leverage it and be in that driver's seat and say, United States, we are valuable to you, and all we're asking is our rightful, equal, fair benefits and programs for the people of this land that the United States is considering and using as a strategic defense pivot position in the Indo-Pacific region. Give me that chance, our people. Second, in my house-to-house visits, first and foremost, their issue is with utilities. The high cost of utilities. Bula tautauta, taza chitsunia, isoya raramas, maribaha iorania. Man mautu di kandinya, they disconnect their power. They have to pay for the reconnection power. I will lobby the U.S. Congress and the infrastructure funding so we can get the money to build, finally, new power plants with cost-efficient engines in Rota, Tinian, and Saipan, and stop the subcontracting to pay extra cost of power engines, because our power engines are dilapidated and we are paying extra cost for diesel fuel that we can switch to power energy-efficient engines, lower the cost, find relief for our people, because we are Americans, and it's very American to lower the cost and make our people thrive and be part of that genuine high quality of life for our people. Next, every week we receive fundraising tickets for medical referrals. Our hospital is dilapidated. Equipments are insufficient. Ladies and gentlemen, Manilos and Mananahu, we need to be more proactive. We need to be more progressive. And I will lobby funding from the U.S. Congress and the White House to get new money under infrastructure to rebuild our hospitals and equip them with the latest medical technology, because we can have all the doctors, the best doctors in the world. And if we don't have a very, very adequate and sophisticated hospital with the high medical technology equipment, it's very American for us to ask, because it's very American to take care of our people pursuant to our covenant with the United States, in which the United States promised and pledged in 1976 to bring our quality of life up. Another one, our middle income. Because of $30 and $40, our middle income who are working 2-3 jobs aren't qualified for health programs, for housing low interest programs, for scholarships, for health insurance. That's wrong. It's unacceptable. We are in the U.S. political family, and I think it's important for us, and I will work with the federal departments to tweak those policies, because our middle-income people need to be taken care of. It is un-American to continue to have our middle income suffer while they work 2-3 jobs and try to survive and thrive in this very, very stagnant economy. The touchback issue. Our roads have been delayed. Our economic improvements to the Hyatt and to the new Marriott Hotel next to PIC. All these other businesses are on hold because of the touchback issue. That is unacceptable. That's very un-American. Where else in the United States that the foreign workers have to go back to their country of origin and to hold back the highway projects in California, in Texas, and to hold back major economic development and business projects? That is un-American. We must do better, and we must be progressive, proactive, and we must be more productive in how we find the monies and create an NMI-only immigration policy to stabilize our compelling technical labor workforce needs in order to resuscitate and stimulate our fragile island economy in the long term. Let us learn from this touchback and the other issues, because there are rooms for improvement. For example, now, just last week, the U.S. Secretary of Commerce, Ms. Gina Raimondo, just inked an agreement with the Philippines Secretary of Trade and Industry, Alfredo Pascual, in Manila, to invest $1 billion, U.S. corporations and firms, in the Philippines. And I think it's strategic for us because they've been our source markets for our laborers. We have the same cultural ties, and it is only fair. It is only American. It is only strategic that we work with them, with our U.S. immigration, and to make sure that our labor market is stabilized. And lastly, we must revitalize and create new industries beyond tourism. Why not proactively and aggressively explore U.S. corporations to finally invest here in the CNMI, along with field quality multinational foreign corporations from Japan, from Korea, in lucrative industries such as parts and technology chips, electronics, prefabricated building manufacturing, financial centers, call centers, information technology or IT, trades and transshipment like Singapore, and explore CNMI targeted economic subsidies and or tax credit incentives to attract these quality business investors. Why? Because we are considered a historically underutilized business zone. We must do better. And the covenant provides us that promise to work, to be progressive, to be productive, and to be proactive. Ladies and gentlemen, we must revisit the Jones Act so that we can explore affordable shipping of goods and commodities. And the cost of living and food and commodities here will not skyrocket, and the consumer protection agencies are not able to control the price control and at the expense of our people. We must revisit the U.S. Cabotage Act to reduce the cost of travel and U.S. airlines doing business in the Northern Marianas. It is un-American to have our U.S. citizens here pay higher costs, almost $600 from here to Guam, whereas we can travel to Korea for $112 round trip, to Hong Kong for $90 round trip. We must do better so we can find the reprieve for our people that the sodai do panhogong molik o sibushelia ramasash para mo nagwilitanota. The U.S. Endangered Species Act. Who is important, the birds or the people? The birds or our economy? Ladies and gentlemen, as your delegate, I will make sure that I sit down with the designated proper authorities, because people to me are important. Our businesses are important. Our economy has been in the downturn since the pandemic, and we have never encountered this monstrous, very damaging economy than now. We must capitalize on this because people are important than birds, and we must revisit that issue. And lastly, nobody's touched this, and it's been my platform. Per Covenant Section 904, We must push for the CNMI to be included in all United States trade, investment, travel, and tourism missions to its allies around the world to attract American investors and more international investments throughout the CNMI Ruta Tinian site the Northern Islands, and to provide the CNMI uninterrupted opportunities for direct participation at all social, cultural, educational, and economic forum and missions in the US, regionally, and internationally for the benefit of our people. Maniluzang maninaw by Hutsungit Taigwini. Upinitizi famaguonno anay dinguzo iyasagwao. Noizu tsamsa sabay pinitizi hamzo tay manwa iyo atodga sa upoksay lalahin mommy, si Tatao, my father-in-law, and all the people that I've helped, because my Nang Lucia and my mother no Maria, my dad Alfredo, taught us that family is everything. It's in helping that God gives us the rewards in unexpected, miraculous ways. I will use my lifelong knowledge, my intimate knowledge of the covenant, my education, and more importantly, my help and my opportunity, privilege to work with all of you to give me this chance to be your delegate for the United States Congress this coming November. Si Zeus Masi, Hiliso Remy, magandang no tanghali sa inyong lahat. Si Zeus Masi, and also maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat. Thank you so much.